not. But if I were you, I would join the Navy. He says, at least you got a dry place to sleep. You got 3 meals a day as long as you're afloat. And I thought that was pretty good advice. That's why I got in the Navy. If any of you guys join the Navy, learn to swim before you get in. I never did. Thank God the ship didn't sink, or I'd have sunk too.
George, when you came home, was it a warm welcome for veterans, for people who had served? How were you greeted when you came home?
Just like another dog face that got out of service. There were so many at that time, that pretty near everybody you ran into had been in the service. And I remember, for the first 2 or 3 years, I might be at a restaurant and somebody would say, "Weren't you in the Air Force?" He says, "You look just exactly like a guy I knew in there." No, I said, "I was in the Navy." And that happened 2 or 3 times. So I came to the conclusion I looked like every other character that existed in the United States. It gave you a strange feeling to know that there's so many people look like me, or I look like them.
George, did you have you talked about the scariest moment was probably being in the storm. Were there other kind of close calls or things that really were frightening or alarming for you in the service?
I don't think of anything. When we were in the LST, we had usually traveled in a group, not always, but which means a group would be maybe 9 or 10 or a dozen or 15 other LSTs, and then there would be a captain or an admiral, well, I guess a captain, in charge of the group. And when you're in a group like that, you steam in column. Maybe there was 4 columns of 4 or 5 ships in each column, and you had maybe 100 yards, about 100 yards between ships in the column, maybe a little more than that, 150 probably. And one night, my friend Jack, who lives in North Carolina, he was the communications officer. He was on watch, conning the ship, and I'd never heard the ship's whistle before, and he blew it while he was on watch. Well, when you're in column like that, you blow, or with other ships, you blow the whistle if there's a chance of colliding with another ship, or another ship stays dead in the water and you've got to turn right or left, and you blow the whistle and let other ships know what your maneuvers are. And I remember he blew that whistle and woke me up out of a sound sleep, and I grabbed my life belt and went up to see what was going on. And he said, "You didn't trust me, huh?" Well, I'd never heard the ship's whistle blow before. I didn't know what it sounded like even. And I couldn't figure out what the heck was going on. Scared the heck out of me. Thought maybe we were going to blow up or sink or something, or somebody was after us. But it turned out he was just maneuvering the ship different than to let other ships know what he was doing. That's all it was. I don't think he ever forgot that either.
We were talking about it's almost the holidays, and we wondered if you all did anything special on your ships, you know, when it was Christmas.
Oh, yeah, when I was on the aircraft carrier, we had 2 Christmases. We crossed the date line on Christmas Day. So we had 2 of them. And for a Christmas tree, we had a palm tree decorated with some junk. We sure ate well aboard the ships, both of them. Of course, by the time I was on the LST, they had great supplies and plenty of ships, and heck, we had steaks, and we had oranges and fruit, apples, and a lot of the times before, in the early part, it was canned stuff mostly. But then we started getting fresh stuff. We had lettuce, and they had plenty of refrigeration out there. Of course, you had it aboard ship so you could keep it for a while. But the food was very, very good all the time I was aboard. One time I was in the South Pacific on the aircraft carrier, and we were over on the beach playing ball, and there was a building off about 200-300 yards from where we were playing, and it looked like it was a stage there, and there was. And I saw quite a few sailors over there in front of the stage, and I wondered what's going on over there. So I went over, and there was Eleanor Roosevelt was out there talking to the guys. Of course, you probably don't know too much about Eleanor. You probably heard it. She was FDR's wife, of course. And but anyway, I thought it was very interesting that she'd come clear out there to talk to these guys.
So George, the final question the students are supposed to be answering for themselves ultimately are, you know, what are the costs of war? Is war ever a good thing? And so what do you think about that?
About what?
Well, they're supposed to decide kind of what are the costs of war for society and for the individual, and also are there any times that war is beneficial? And I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that.
Well, of course, the worst cost is lives. I think I don't know whether you guys know what a chipping hammer is or not. It's used aboard ship to chip paint, and then they repaint it. And I think probably the ocean is just about lined with chipping hammers. Because they go over the side, the guys get tired of using them and throw them away. That was probably the biggest waste I saw. Of course, when we were in the typhoon, we didn't have to chip that paint, it was gone. I sure enjoyed the reunions we had. They were a lot of fun.
Any final comments that you wanted?
What?
Any final comments that you'd want to tell these young gentlemen about your experience?
You mean the experience with you fellows?
No, or just your experience in the war.
Oh. Well, I can't think of anything else, Lynn.
very much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What's that?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh,